I have been using this Silicone MagSafe case from Apple for a while now, and I'm here to let you know how it has been. Do stick around a little longer because I think there's one feature on this case that makes this year's Silicone case more worth it than previous generations. Without any more delay, let's get into it. First of all, this Silicone case is the only case from Apple that provides protection at all 4 borders because the Clear and Beats case have a bottom cutout and don't protect the bottom of your phone. While this does add all-rounded protection to the phone, it can sometimes be problematic if you have a charging cable with broad shoulders because it may not fit entirely into the USB-C port due to the bottom border blocking it. The precision and fit along the lenses and flashlight is also pretty good, and that is to be expected since these cases are from the makers of the iPhone. Although I haven't personally done a drop test on this case before and I haven't dropped my phone during the time of using it, there's this other reviewer who tossed his phone up together with this case, and when it landed, it still managed to protect the iPhone just fine. So based on his testing, I think we can tell that this Silicone case should protect your phone quite well. The thickness of this case is pretty average and is not far from the other cases I've tested. The weight is also not heavy at all, coming in at just 31 grams for the iPhone 16 version. It certainly doesn't add much bulk to your phone if that's what you're worried about. However, the silicone material does make this case rather flexible when I try to twist it and when I try to peel the borders. I think this case doesn't have a bottom cutout unlike the Clear and Beats case because it is a flexible material, so it needs that bottom border to maintain its structure. The case has a raised lip at the front, and even after applying a screen protector, there's still ample height that separates your screen protector from the floor and the table. The border around the camera bump area is also elevated, so it should protect the lenses as well. And because this is an original MagSafe case from Apple, you do get that satisfying MagSafe animation whenever you put this case on. The phone is nicely leveled when lying flat on the screen, but not when it is lying on its back because of the large camera bump. But the displacement is not jarring and pretty similar to other iPhone cases. The buttons are soft and squishy, and they feel a lot nicer to press compared to the ones on the Apple Clear case. They also have sufficient protrusion to make it easy to locate the buttons without looking. One thing we have to talk about for this year's Silicone case is the camera control button right over here. As we know, the iPhone 16 models now come with a new camera control button, and this button is kinda challenging to protect because it is like a mini trackpad that needs to sense varying degrees of pressure, so any cover that goes on top of it should not hinder the pressure sensitivity. Most third-party cases will have a cutout over here and just call it a day, so they don't have to deal with that issue at all. But this leaves the camera control button exposed, which is not the most ideal. Apple addressed this by having a cover made of sapphire crystals with a conductive layer so that the pressure information is relayed to the camera control button while offering protection. In my testing, the cover did a good job in preserving the sensitivity of the camera control button, and it performed just as well as without the cover. I tried to swipe or touch the cover as gently as I can, hoping to get it to miss an input. But guess what? It still registers almost every single of my inputs, and I think that Apple did a pretty good job in this regard. The benefit of the silicone material compared to other materials is that it doesn't collect any fingerprints at all, and it is the only case from Apple that does this because the Beats and Clear case attracts fingerprints like crazy. So the silicone case is your best option if you don't like fingerprints to show up. It can, however, pick up some linen if you put this case in your pockets and there's some loose threads inside it. Not the most difficult thing to clean, but just want to let you know that it is a hassle that you will have to deal with sometimes. Another benefit of the silicone material is its naturally grippy texture. It feels very nice to hold in the hands, and I think this one has the most premium feel out of all the Apple cases. Although it doesn't feel as grippy as some of the other silicone cases that I've used before in the past, it hasn't slid out of my hands before during the time I've been using it. As for the magnets, the magnetic strength of this case is pretty alright. It did a very good job with resisting sliding forces, slightly because of the naturally grippy texture of silicone. But when it comes to pulling force, it did pretty average and didn't do better than the Clear and Beats case from Apple. It has enough magnetic strength to grip onto the MagSafe charger just fine, although it doesn't take a lot of force to shake it off. However, I did notice that there is a ring mark appearing on the silicone case, and I think this is because when I'm using my MagSafe accessories and I twist the ring grip around, it probably has some friction going on and cause a mark to be left on the silicone case. And because I also use this on MagSafe chargers, and when I rotate the phone on the charger, then it might have caused some friction and left a mark over there. There is a soft and plushy backlining on the inside of the case, which is very nice to touch, and it adds that extra bit of shock absorption when your phone lands on the back. The microfiber material doesn't just cover the back, but also extends to the sides of the case, so it does protect the borders and corners as well. The precision of this backlining is actually a lot more refined than some of the other third-party silicone cases, such as the one I have from ESR, which has cuts at the sides in order to fit into the corners. Also, the ESR one is not laid as nicely, which makes me appreciate the precise finish on this Apple silicone case. However, this backlining becomes a hassle if water ever gets into the case, such as when you are exposed to a heavy rain. I tried putting my phone with this case on into water, and the backlining can get pretty drenched, and it takes more than half a day for it to dry completely. So if your phone gets wet often, I would recommend avoiding this case. I think this year's silicone case from Apple is slightly more worth it than previous versions, because in the past there isn't really any unique selling points to Apple's silicone cases. Third-party cases often offer stronger magnets or better features at a more affordable price. But because this year's iPhones come with a camera control button, the conductive cover on Apple's cases now have a clear advantage over other third-party cases, which don't offer protection over it at all. To my knowledge, at the time of this recording, there's no other third-party manufacturers that offer a silicone case with a camera control cover. So if you really want a silicone case with a fully functioning camera control cover, your best option is this one from Apple. At this point, if you are still not sure whether the silicone case is the right one for you, why not check out my quick comparison video with the Clear and Beats Apple cases to see which one suits your needs the best. I'll be waiting for you in the next video. See you there.